Weekend is written and directed by Drew Hancock. Iris and her boyfriend Josh go on a weekend trip to meet up with their friends at a Russian billionaire Sergey's lakeside resort. When Sergey suddenly dies, a surprising chain of events is set into motion along with a dark secret about Iris being revealed. This is Drew Hancock's first feature film, and I was pleasantly surprised. My expectations were a little higher for this one because of Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher's attachment. Thatcher specifically has really started to show up in horror in the last couple of years and is rightfully making a name for herself, most notably in last year's Heretic and the Yellow Jackets TV show. She's an actress that I look forward to seeing what projects she's choosing. I do think the strongest parts of this movie are the writing and the editing. Hancock doesn't really have a distinct visual style yet, and he doesn't really go for more slickly shot camera tricks that a lot of recent horror movies have done. Most of this is shot pretty traditionally. It looks good, and the setting adds to the story and the atmosphere of it, but Hancock's strength is more so in his writing. If you don't know anything about this movie, I will unfortunately have to spoil the twist revealed in the trailers, which is one that I wish they would have kept secret. However, its presentation is still effective. Be ready for some moderate spoilers. Iris and Josh have been dating for a couple years and meet up with Josh's friends, Eli and his boyfriend Patrick, and Kat and her boyfriend Sergey, for this weekend getaway. When Iris is attacked by Sergey, she kills him in self-defense, only to find out she is actually a robot. More specifically, she is Josh's jailbroken sex bot that he's been parading around as his girlfriend. She is completely under his control, with him being able to decide when she's awake and asleep and how intelligent she is when she interacts with him. This is all revealed in the first act of the movie, which I'm glad the trailers didn't really spoil past there, and I won't be spoiling anything major either. I do think this movie falls more into the thriller genre than horror. The concept in itself and the themes it's addressing are scary, but the movie isn't setting out to scare you in the traditional horror movie way. Scenes aren't set up around jump scares or anything like that, and it leans much harder into being a dark comedy. And this movie was much funnier than I expected it to be. Jack Quaid and Harvey Guillen have their credibility for comedic roles. Guillen specifically is so likable and funny that even if he's playing a morally questionable character, you want to see more of him. And I liked that most of the humor was situational and not specifically about Iris being a sex bot, because I feel like that's a route a lot of other writers would have taken and shoved themselves into a corner with. This movie is more or less a takedown and criticism of the internet dubbed nice guy. Iris is quite literally controlled by her boyfriend, who jailbreaks her to be more attached to him. Jack Quaid is great in this role because he does come off as genuinely likable at first, and as you get to know more about him, he very believably falls into the insecure, annoying, and scary incel category. He's someone who gets a sex bot because no one else will date him and would put up with the amount of control he wants to have over somebody. So the movie is about power dynamics in relationships and emotional abuse. How one can lose their autonomy in a relationship, how people can be manipulated into staying into relationships and made to feel tiny. With the robot spin on it, bringing literal realizations of everyday broad concepts of abuse in a relationship to light. Now, while I do think this was a clever spin on things and really modernizes some horror thriller themes, I don't think the criticism really goes past a surface level understanding of what this kind of abuse is. There is catharsis in Iris's arc throughout the movie, and I think it works, but I wanted to see the ideology of incels and nice guys just decimated. This is also my favorite performance from Sophie Thatcher so far. She plays Iris in a very timid way when we first meet her. She's socially awkward, so some stiffness in her interactions with Josh's friends can be associated with that, until we, of course, discover that she's a robot. Thatcher is able to find this sweet spot that works really, really well for the character, where she's just a tinge too robotic to be human, but too human to be a robot, and it plays into the blurring of the lines of what she is. It adds a lot of morally gray questions into this situation, which I think the movie does a good job of introducing those ideas. Her voice also plays a huge part, and Thatcher's vocal control of that works really, really well for this character. She does easily give the best performance of the movie. Iris is a great character, and you're firmly on her side throughout. It's not a character that is defined by being a victim which is something I'm happy they didn't fall into when writing her. I want to mention Lucas Gage too for his performance as Patrick. He plays a heel turn really well here, and it shows off his range as an actor. I mentioned before that I really liked the editing of this movie. A lot of it is used effectively and at times comedically, specifically one smash cut that is simultaneously gross and hilarious at the same time. The movie is well paced and flies by. My main issue is with some story structure, and a part that I really enjoyed was Iris discovering more about herself with the app for her on Josh's phone. I wish they did a little bit more with that, because I thought seeing this character discovering herself and her capabilities was really compelling. I would have liked a deeper dive into that type of discovery. I do think some of the movie also becomes fairly predictable after this point, which isn't a bad thing to be predictable, but it does make the climax a little less exciting in my opinion. There's one small twist towards the end that I did really like, but I do think other movies like this have done it better. Most notably in recent memory, The Invisible Man does a really good job at wrapping up its story. I do think this is a solid comedy thriller. If you're interested, I'd say definitely go watch it. The cast is great and the script is good. I do hope to see more from Drew Hancock and maybe a little bit more confidence in his direction in the future. But other than that, I'd say this was a pleasant surprise. So I will be rating Companion a B-. Now I'm interested to know what you all thought of the movie. What are some of your favorite horror movies in the last year? Let me know, and I will be back with another video.